It's a lot of talk that you and Luka possibly the greatest backcourt in NBA history.
I mean, it doesn't mean anything if we don't win a ring together, I say that very responsibly too. Not saying that we aren't great now, but there are other backcourts that are more deserving right now. Right now, I want to show a lot of respect to the guys that have come before us and have actually did it.
Great answer from Kyrie Irving. That's not even a politically correct answer. It's just the truth. In this video, I'm going to go through some of those duos throughout history that he was referring to, even beyond the most obvious one that you see on the screen with Klay and Steph Curry. But let's start off with these two, and then from there, I'll go in order as to who I believe is the greatest backcourt in NBA history. And by backcourt, I mean point guard and shooting guard. So the question is, who else could you put as number one outside of these two? You got to be trolling if you have somebody else, right? Steph Curry, four-time champion. Klay, four-time champion. They both got all their rings together within that backcourt. Steph Curry seen as almost by everybody the greatest three-point shooter of all time. He's also considered the greatest point guard by some. I would still put Magic Johnson. Klay Thompson, future Hall of Famer, considered one of the greatest three-point shooters. Curry's obviously a Hall of Famer. I don't think I need to go on, right? This is just self-explanatory to me. Now, this next duo, Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas, depending on your age and or how much you really do your homework on basketball, you'll really appreciate this one. Isaiah Thomas, two-time NBA champion, one-time Finals MVP, 12-time NBA All-Star games, 5 All-NBA team selections in total. Look, man, if you only know this guy as somebody who has issues with Michael Jordan, I feel bad for you. Let's go now to his backcourt teammate at the shooting guard position, Joe Dumars. Two-time champion as well, Finals MVP. So both him and Isaiah got each Finals MVP out of those two championships. 6-time NBA All-Star. He has made an All-NBA second team and 2 All-NBA third teams, 4 All-NBA defensive teams. I'm not trying to bore you guys with going through every little thing within their resume. I'm just trying to make it clear how great they were, the Bad Boy Pistons. I know there's people out there who may not be fully familiar with this duo. And Isaiah Thomas, I'm surprised he doesn't have any All-NBA defensive teams. He was a really good defender as well. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. Maybe for me, because of the generation I'm from, I'm obviously familiar with Magic Johnson. That's just a given. If you know basketball, you do your homework on guys like that. You see what they did. Byron Scott, I'm more familiar with him as a head coach, not his actual game. He doesn't have an all-star selection, but that shouldn't take away from your greatness or what you do. Jamal Murray, I think, is a really great player. He doesn't have any all-star selections as of right now. Based on what I see, look, they won 3 championships together. He wasn't a bad player by any means, especially if you're the starting shooting guard beside a player like Magic Johnson. I'm going to go with this duo next, strongly because of the criteria that Kyrie set. And one of the first things he said is, we got to win at least a ring. Well, Magic Johnson and Byron Scott, they got 3 together. This is where I believe it's safe to insert a Luka and Kyrie. There's other duos that obviously won championships, but chances are maybe one of them was really great and the other was just average at best. Or maybe the duo had a really great front court and that's where they got it, So there still had to be somewhat of a balance at least. And with Kyrie and Luka, they got a finals appearance that they will have very soon. And the other guys that I have on this list are pretty much the same. If they didn't have a finals appearance, maybe they were really great and just had some great seasons and playoff pushes. So right now I have Luka and Kyrie rated as the 4th best backcourt in NBA history. If they win the championship this year or at any point together, I probably would put them above Magic and Byron Scott, only because as a duo, their individual talents coming together is just incredible. Each one could be seen as a superstar at any point in time. And if they win more than once, that's when the conversation is really going to start and we could have a legitimate discussion about who's the greatest backcourt. It's going to take more than one though, and they got to get the first. You can call this part of the video the unofficial honorable mentions names. And this is a very good question I want to actually ask you guys. Which duo would you rather take? The Chris Paul and James Harden? Individually, both of these guys and what they did when they were together, especially that Houston Rockets, James Harden, I would say skill-wise is better than Devin Booker and Chris Paul. However, Booker and Paul, they got to the NBA Finals, had a really good shot at winning a championship. And skill wise, we know what Booker does. Chris Paul was a little bit out of his prime, wasn't exactly what he once was, but he was still pretty good. These are the next duos, or one of them, that I would see as next. Now let's get into some other names that I want to throw out there. No, I definitely did not forget this duo. I know somebody is thinking, man, he finally mentioned CJ and Dame. Don't worry, I got you. You know what? If you had this duo over one of the Chris Paul tandems I mentioned, I could totally understand that. I just wish they had more playoff success, deeper runs. I believe they made the Western Conference Finals once, maybe twice. Even if they had just a finals appearance, I would have had them higher. Now let's get into some other outside names you may not even think of. Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan with the Raptors, and John Wall and Bradley Beal with the Washington Wizards. All of these guys, when they were backcourt teammates together, they made multiple All-Star games, and they also had seasons where they were at the top of the East, one of the top of the teams at least. And this is the perfect way, I think, to close out this whole backcourt list. If you had to really round out the whole list in general, do you like the names that I mentioned? Am I forgetting some duos? Maybe somebody out there is going to say Kobe Bryant and Derek Fisher for all I know. But as always, I appreciate you listening. Salute. Holla below.